Hey, everybody. Thanks for being patient. I know it's 8:04, but we're having some technical challenges thanks to my never-ending technical changing here. So I'm going to hand this off to Marissa. She's actually our person, and I am going to just be participating like everybody else. So take it away, Marissa.
Good evening, everybody. I get to see you, or you all get to see me this time. I'm so happy Jerry Ann and I figured this out. I'm looking forward to developing the leader within you. Second week that we're doing this, and we're going to talk about the key to leadership, which is priority. So let's just jump right in.
Oh, we got people already.
Yay. Before we do, though, I do want to go back over expectations. I will do this every time because I think it's really important that we remember that we need to be committed and give these sessions our all. Make sure that we make time to do pre-work and homework. I haven't done any pre-work as of yet, but I will do some as the weeks go on, as well as doing the homework, because the homework actually helps to solidify all that we talk about. I ask that you participate, and for this session, your participation is typing into Facebook your comments or your questions, and as they come up, Jerry Ann will be paying attention and will flag me or tell me to stop so that we can get those answered. So please ask any questions that you want, make any comments. I ask that you be gentle with yourself and with others, yet again, and that means that you may know this information while somebody else may not, and it's okay. Wherever you are in this process is totally fine. I added a one from last week. I want you all to think of this training while we're in this session as Las Vegas. And what that means is what goes on here stays in here. We don't talk about it outside, because I need you all to have a safe place and know that this is a safe place for you to ask your questions, for you to be totally transparent so that you can grow as a leader. And then, my last expectation is that we have fun. So, did you guys ever feel like this? No matter what you do, no matter how much you do, it feels like you never got anything done. That is me. I feel like I can do a ton of stuff and then get nothing done at the same time. But we're going to fix that. We're going to work on that. For our next session within the Developing the Leader Within You, we're going to talk about priorities. It is truly the key to leadership. Knowing what your priorities are and what you need to do from a day-to-day basis is critical. Let me back up. Hopefully everyone was able to download the homework, or not the homework, but the workbook that actually has the homework assignment in it. It should say key to leadership.
Wait, hold on, Marissa. We're having a problem. Okay. I think we need to start resharing the, oh, shoot.
They can't see?
Well, I don't know what happened. We're just going to shoot it again. I did something on my end and it messed up the live, so people are not. Share. Well, I was trying to get you on it, and it's not. You're not showing up on it. Is the problem?
Oh, I see myself. Okay.
Yeah, I see you, but on the video itself, it's not there.
Okay. Do you need me to come out? What do you need me to do?
I think we need to. Okay, let me show thumbnail video. That's the two of us. That's the two of us bigger. That's you, which is what I want. Where is the Zoom where it's showing the meeting? All I get on the meeting is a black screen. Can you start sharing again? See if that.
Hold on. Well, I could if I knew how to do it on my end. Hold on.
Oh, there we go. Stop. New share. Okay.
You want me to stop sharing?
No, portion of screen, no. I'm gonna stop sharing and then I'm gonna start sharing again. There, now you're back. Okay, so that's stupid.
Can you see? Hold on. Can you
Okay,
see?
okay, wait, hold on. I think that's what I want is the side-by-side mode. Okay, perfect. Okay. So
Uh-oh.
now it's still recording, so sorry.
You want me to, there we go. You want me to start all over? What would you like for me to do?
No, I don't want you to start all over. I'm just trying to figure out how to drag this down so that I can share on.
The Facebook Live?
This worked so well last week. Okay, well, let me get to, okay, here we go. All right, take 2. Week 4, and I'll annotate it later. Share screen. I just need to find you. There you are. Beautiful. Okay.
So everybody can see me in the Facebook Live?
Not yet. I haven't gone live yet.
Oh, okay.
All right. Now we're going live in 3, 2, 1. Hey, sorry, you guys. This is, I don't even know what I did, so I'm not even going to pretend to. I clicked a button thinking I was getting Marissa, and what I ended up doing was killing Marissa. So, Marissa, you're back. Sorry. See if everyone's paying attention.
So before I go into the slide, I want to make sure that everyone was able to at least see, if not also pull down and print out your workbook for today, because the workbook will be, if you pull that down, you'll be able to take notes much easier than trying to do them from the slide as we did last week. So an improvement over last week. Hopefully you were able to do that. Jerry Ann put it in, where did you put it, Jerry Ann?
I put it right here in training room.
In the training room.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully you're able to see that. It's about 13 pages.
Yep, they're printed. Awesome.
Okay, cool. Yay. All right, so let's go back now that I know that everybody has that. Question was, have you ever felt this way, that it seems as though you are doing so much work, but at the end of the day, you don't feel like you accomplished anything, or what you accomplished wasn't important? Hopefully after this training, that won't be the case anymore. So let's get going. The key to leadership is priorities. That is what this chapter is about. That is what we're going to talk about. We're going to determine whether we need to do something now, later, tomorrow, or maybe even never. We'll see. All right. Jamie Cornell wrote, "Time cannot and will not be managed, and you will never get more of it. So how you choose to use it every moment of every day is up to you, whether you believe it or not. We all get the same 24 hours. We can't add it. We can't add to it. We can't subtract from it. So all we can do is try to use it more appropriately." So there are 2 things that's most difficult for people, but especially leaders, to do. One is to think, and the other is to do things in order of importance. A lot of times we like to do things that are easy. We like to do things that are quick. We like to do things that are sometimes even more enjoyable, but they may not be the most important thing. So tonight, whenever you're watching this, we're going to figure out and come to a resolution of how to do what's important when it's important. Priority pressures. Sometimes we get pressured when we're trying to do our priorities, is that we're overestimating the importance of some things. So we may think that it's really, really, really important to find the perfect quote for a situation that's going on. I'm thinking about Instagram or Twitter. But maybe what's most important is to find the perfect picture, because pictures can convey much more than some words are. You know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we have to, sometimes we overestimate the importance of the things that we have to do. Sometimes we have so many priorities. There's like a laundry list of things that we have to do that we get paralyzed and we don't do anything, or we can't figure out what to do, or we give up and go watch TV. Or is that just me? I don't know. Anyway, sometimes we give small demands too much attention. So I don't know what it is about myself personally. When I have a lot of pressing things to do, I always want to go do my laundry. I don't know why, but I do. I just want to wash clothes. I want to dry clothes. I want to hang up clothes. I want to fold clothes. But it's only because I am honestly putting off what is important. So sometimes we give a lot of attention to small demands. And then sometimes we make everything a priority. And because everything is a priority, nothing gets done. Nothing is a priority, and you just don't end up doing anything. So, priority principles. Oh, and if you weren't on the live when I first started talking, I asked that you participate in your asking questions or making comments, because Jerry Ann is going to monitor them. And as we go through, she will tell me. As soon as you see them, just tell me and I will
Oh, you
stop.
want me to interrupt you? Okay.
Yeah, interrupt me and let me know, because I don't want us to get too far away from the question.
Okay. Yep.
Perfect. So there are some priority principles. One is working smarter has a higher return than working harder. Working smarter has a higher return than working harder, because you can work hard, but if you're doing the same thing over and over and over, it's the definition of insanity. We have to figure out how to do what we are called to do, what our responsibilities are. We have to figure out how to do them much more efficiently, much more smarter. You also have to understand that you cannot have it all, meaning you cannot do every single thing that you need to do. In all honesty, when I'm putting together, let's use this class for an example. When I'm putting together this class, I can't put together this class, wash my dishes, fold laundry, and go put gas in my car. I can't do all of that. I have to decide what's the most important thing to do and do that. And then the good is always the enemy of the best. So sometimes there are two really good priorities or options that you have, but you have to determine what's the best use of my time. What is better? Which one is better? Figure that out, and then you will always have your priorities in order. And then proactive.
Can I interrupt with a question?
Yeah.
Are you going to help us figure out which is better, or that we're on our own for that?
Yeah, I'm going to give you some tools.
Okay, good.
Give you some tools. Yeah. And then last but not least, or this is not last, but proactive beats reactive. So a lot of times when we're doing our priorities, we're reacting to things, and versus figuring out, these are my list of priorities for the day, and this is what I'm going to do, versus, well, a lot of times, sometimes you become reactive because someone else gives you something to do, but we're going to try to figure out how not to have that happen. But it's better to be proactive than reactive. And then the fifth and final priority principle is the important needs to take precedence over the urgent. So here's the answer to your question. You have to determine what's high importance and high energy, or high urgency, excuse me. What's high importance and high urgency, you tackle that first. So in my example with putting together this class, washing dishes, folding clothes, or making groceries, going grocery shopping, I know I switched that wasn't one of them, but in the order of importance, putting together this class would be high importance, high urgency. Your next level down is what's high importance, but low urgency. So setting deadlines for completion of these and fitting these tasks into your daily routine. because I do need to do laundry, right? That is important because at some point in time, if I don't do it, I'm going to run out of clothes. But it's really a low urgency because I can do that, when I'm up at 2:00 in the morning because I'm a night owl. Something that's low importance and high urgency. So you need to find a quick, efficient way to get these tasks done with minimal personal involvement and time. And if possible, delegate. So for me, maybe going grocery shopping is I need to eat, and I need to eat really good, but it's of low importance to a certain extent. So maybe I can get a friend of mine, my godchild, who lives next door to me, get her to go grocery shopping for me. I delegate it. She's a personal chef, so she can do that, and she pick out really good stuff for me. So then you have your last but not least, low importance, low urgency. So if these tasks can be eliminated, you can get rid of them altogether. If you can delegate them, delegate them. But if you have to do them, like if you're the only one that can do them, schedule them in 1 hour block every week to chip away at them, but never schedule them during your prime time. So remember I told you I had to fold my clothes? Was once they're washed, if they're clean, they're just not hung up. I need to fold them. I need to hang them up. I can schedule, and actually this is an actual example because I've decided that I will wash my clothes on Tuesday. That's just the day I decided to fit it in. I'm going to wash my clothes on Tuesday, except for I'm going to do a couple of hours, chunks of time, and get that all done, and then I don't have to worry about it for the rest until the next week.
I do all my laundry on Monday.
Do you?
Yeah. And if it doesn't get done on Monday, it does not get done. Sue says, always take care of what's going to burst into flames first. That's how I
I love that. I love that, Sue. Yes.
That's
yes.
Sue.
Whatever's going to burst into flames, you got to take care of that. And make sure you have your
what happens when you have like 5 bushfires going? Like
I know. You got to have a fire extinguisher near you. So I'm going to stop right here. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any concerns?
So one of the things that a couple mamas brought up is that they do the hardest thing first because then the rest seems easy, which is right out of Eat That Frog. But in my experience, what is hardest is not always the most important or urgent. It's just the most weighing on me. So then what would you say to that?
So when you become, as you become a more higher in your levels, remember we have 5 levels of leadership. As you go up in your levels of leadership, your responsibilities will also go up, which means it's more critical for you to figure out what your priorities are, and they will seem to be more heavy. So something could be really hard for you to do, but if it's not high importance and high urgency, then you don't need to do that because it's not going to give you the best return for your time and your effort.
So most important, most urgent, as far as like Military Mama Network is concerned?
Yeah. And I mean, even in your life, yes, in terms of Military Mama. So tell me something that for the person that does Instagram, what would be high importance, high urgency for them?
For her, I think the Instagram would be to put out regular call outs to get pictures and then download them, but she can delegate the downloading. So I think it's the visibility and also responding to people who comment on our Instagram.
So is it more important for her to post and then comment, or is it more important for her to comment on what's been posted?
I think post then comment.
Post and comment? Right. So high importance, high urgency is to post. And then high importance, low urgency. Would be for her to comment?
Yeah.
Okay. And if I think about the people who are doing the web store or
Mhm.
the website. So
Uh-huh.
if there's for the website, if they see something that's wrong, maybe there's a misspelling or there's an event that needs to go up on the website, that would be high importance, high urgency, correct?
Right. So like right now, Cynthia does our website content for our chapters, and it's super high importance, high urgency that she gets it up there, and then Cassie comes through and edits it and makes it all looks the same.
Okay.
Because, and this is my thing. Like I think that's what I was gonna ask, is it's gonna change by person,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
then is it sort of a marriage between what we tell them is high urgency, high importance, and what they feel is, or does that depend on where they are in those levels of leadership? And I don't want to take you way off your game here for
No,
this.
no, no, it's fine. No, so what is considered high importance and high urgency is what your roles and responsibilities are as defined by whomever is your leader, whomever is the person that is in charge of giving you your roles.
So this
Give,
would be a really good thing for us to create this matrix for each of our leaders so that they
yes,
can self prioritize.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
okay, so I'm going to just put that on another of my high importance things. Um, Tina wants to know most important for local chapter leaders. I think that will go over in the local chapter leader training, but when you're pre-launch, it's getting people interested, involved, and when you're post-launch is keeping the momentum, making sure you have meetings, making sure you're communicating and connecting with your people, and always having events in the hopper to be planned and worked on. Back to you, Marissa. Hope that helps, Tina.
So what's important? So what criteria do you use to evaluate what's important in your life? How do you differentiate from the good, from the best? If you want to see what you at this moment deem important, you can look on your calendar, your to-do list, look at your finances. You know, what are you spending your money on? And from the last 6 months, and that typically for most people gives you a good indicator of what you think is most important. So if
I
you
like
want to do
that
this for your
answer.
personal life, you can. If you want to do this for military mama, you can. But this actually really does give you an honest assessment of what you have been spending your time on. So active. We don't want to be a reactive type of leaders. So in order to be proactive, we can have
Oh, you froze.
to learn how to be proactive. What
Hey,
did you say?
Marissa, go back to in order to be proactive, you froze. My internet connection is unstable, it says. Doggone it.
Oh,
Go
oh
ahead, keep
no.
going. You're good. It's just,
I said, I talked about we don't want to be reactive leaders. We want to be proactive leaders. We want to learn how to prioritize. We want to be the ultimate prioritizers. So in order to be proactive, there are a couple of solutions that we can implement. The first and foremost is what's called the Pareto principle. And Pareto principle is that it states that 20% of your effort generates 80% of your results. So let me give you some example of the 80-20 rule, which is what most people have heard of it. Have heard the Pareto principle called 80-20 rule. So 20% of your priorities produce 80% of your production. 20% of your time produces 80% of your results. 20% of the people take up 80% of the time. 20% of the products brings in 80% of the profits. 20% of the people pay 80% of the taxes, right? You get it. 20% of the items on your to-do list will yield 80% return. Only 20%. So you may have 10 things that's on your to-do list, but only 2 of them will yield 80% of your return. And those are the things that you need to focus on that particular day. 20% of your team yields 80% returns. So if you have 10 team members, typically only 2 of them, I know that sounds really harsh, but typically only 2 of them are producing 80% of your return. So you need to focus your time and energy on those individuals. 20% of the offerings you will yield 80% of your profits or your return. So you should focus on selling those things. I think Jerry Ann and I, when we were in Florida, we talked about from the web store, there were a couple of things that were really, really selling. Those are the top things that need to be pushed, or those are the things that need to be at the top of the store or wherever when the store gets back up.
Right.
However, wherever someone first comes in, those are the things that people need to see first, because they're selling really well, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this was super eye-opening for me. As you know, because Marissa was there when I was like, oh my gosh, this is life-changing. Because if we apply this will change the way we function, and it will change the way we lead, and it will also change the way the way that you as leaders will invest in people, because you're going to see people like the 158 people that are here, probably really 150 with the fake profiles that I have to organize things. Those 150, it's literally 10% of our group, our main group. And then there's 10% that are interested but are going to do it later. And those are the people, not that I don't love the other people, but if I've got 20 minutes in time, the first group of people that are going to get my time are the people who are going through this leadership training, instead of the first person who's tugging on my sleeve. That's a really big shift for me.
Exactly. So typically we've heard the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Not so with this. When we do our priorities, it's not the squeaky wheel, because a lot of times the person that talks the most is the one that you want to give your time to, because you want to help them, but it has to be your top 20%, because they're the ones that yielding 80% of your production.
So Heather Helton says she's working on our website and web store. So should we pre-plan our week besides the daily stuff that comes up?
Yeah, actually, not your week or your month. And I know it's really hard to do that. But totally, if you can pre-plan your week, that would be excellent. I
pre-plan my week every week on Friday. I plan the following week.
As long as you give yourself the flexibility and the grace to change your priorities, because Jerry Ann could give you something that she says, you know what, now this is a priority, and all of your priorities kind of, what you had to do goes down. It goes down because Jerry Ann supersedes. So as long as you're flexible enough for that, I say do it. It makes life a lot easier if you know what you're supposed to do every day. I'm telling you, when I made the decision to wash clothes on Tuesday, I now know that I don't have to think about it at all. It's done.
And I think the more, even if you only systematize half of what you plan, and literally I have alarms on my phone, in 10 minutes do this, or like I have pre-alarms. So for this, we start at 8 o'clock. At 10 to 8, my pre-alarm goes off so that I'm ready on time. Yep. And I think if we do that as leaders, doing this 80-20 thing, you will not believe when people are like, how do you get so much done? This is how I get so much done, because I have a system to my week. I plan my week ahead. And since coming home from Florida, which hasn't been all that long, but this 80-20 thing I think is going to be huge if we all implement it.
Yeah, it will. So let's see, how do we apply it? So you need to determine which people on your team, which are the top 20 when it comes to production, who's getting things done, who are the ones that when I need something, they're making it happen. Those 20%, you need to spend 80% of your time with those top 20 people, 20%, 20%ers, 80%. So that doesn't mean that you're not spending time with the others. Please hear me. I'm not saying not to spend time with the other people. I'm just saying the majority of your time should be with your top 20.
And sorry, let me interrupt again. And also, like your what did you call it? I call it prime real estate. Like, I'm best in the evening. And
Yeah.
now early in the morning, like if your lull time is at 3 in the afternoon, that's not when you're going to work on your 20%, right?
Correct. Correct. It is during prime time. Showtime. Prime time is when you want to work with your top 20. You also need to spend 80% of your personal development dollars, your money, on these top 20. So let's say that the next go round, let's say next year in 2020, Jerry Ann decides I'm going to do leadership training again. We're going to do it on a different topic, but I'm going to do leadership training. Because she has already invested this year, and she sees who's actually doing the work, who's growing as a leader, she can pick from the individuals who finished this training, the top 20, and then invest next year in those individuals. You also want to help the top 20 determine what their top 20 is, who their top 20 are too.
Right.
Because it allows them to give 80% of their time for that. So if you're a leader, so if you're a chapter leader, who are your 20%? Who are your 20%ers?
Are you asking me that, or are you asking them that?
I'm telling them that's what they need to do. Think about it. You may not know right now, but that's something you need to keep in the back of your mind. We also would like for you to delegate the other tasks so it frees you up time, right? Because you can't do everything, but everything needs to get done. So we need to figure out who can I delegate things to so that I can do what I'm gifted to do.
Well, and here's a perfect example of that. Tammy Kreider has been helping get everybody on board with technical stuff and getting their profile set up and stuff. I mean, I could have done that, but
Right.
she's doing a great job, and it frees me up to do something that only I can do.
And that's the key. It's the things that only you can do. That your top 20 should be things that only you and no one else can do.
Right. And trust me, it's there. You just probably don't even know it because you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. So my sister says, some days, however, by the time I have my first cup of coffee, my plan for the day is so blown out of the water. I just hope to get back to where I started before my coffee by the time I leave for the office. She's got a puppy, and she's also got a husband who travels. I suspect those two might be cause for that. But like, what's your take on that when you get completely derailed from your day's plan and you have not even found your 20, much less done it?
So is it your direct? So let me ask the question. Do you have your priorities? Do you have your list of priorities and then you get derailed, or you don't have a list of priorities, or someone superimposes their priority, someone of authority superimposes another priority over yours? I need to know that, because let me say this. If someone superimposes, someone of an authority figure superimposes their priority over yours, then obviously you're going to have to do that. If it's because you didn't have a priority list, you didn't make a priority list or a to-do list, then you need to stop at that moment before you do anything and refocus and figure out what your top 20% is. Write your to-do list and then figure out what your top 20% is.
She said list.
You need to stop and figure it out.
Yeah, hers is, so sometimes it's just her job, that because of what she does. It's not, like I was an accountant. We didn't have crises from day to day, but stuff that she deals with can just take her off her game. So then, like for me, when that happens, I just leave my list and I come back to it when I'm done dealing with the crisis and pick up where I left off as best I can.
Yeah, that's true. Because if it's something that goes beyond, your list or what someone is giving you, and it is something, it could be family oriented. You have to take care. You need to pick up your kid.
Yeah.
The babysitter or whomever that was supposed to pick them up, something happened to them, and you can't leave your child at school. So you literally have to stop doing what you're doing, go get your kid, and then come back to your list. True.
Thanks.
All right. Oh, so anything else on the Pareto 80/20 rule before I go to the next priority? We
Nope,
have
I've been interrupting you with questions like you said too.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So proactive priority solution number 2 is what John Maxwell calls the 3 R's. So with the 3 R's, you want to know what's required. The 3 R's are required, return, and reward. So what's required of me? These are things that you must do, and you cannot delegate them to anyone else. You have to understand, as a leader, you can give up anything except the final responsibility. Okay? So what are the things that you and only you can do? That's what's required of you. That's what I want you to think of when you think about what's required of me. And then what's the greatest return? What are you good at? What brings the greatest return for your investment of time and energy for your organization? And please know, activity is not accomplishment. So I can be doing a whole bunch of stuff,
Yes.
but it's not accomplishment. Only productivity is, right? Only productivity is. So when going back to my list of things that I had to do, I have to write the class, I need to go grocery shopping, I need to fold clothes, all of that. I had a lot, because when I do wash, I have a lot of clothing. I have a lot of stuff that I need to fold. So I have a lot of activity going on during that day. This is prior to me saying that I'm only going to do my laundry on Tuesday. This is when I was doing it whenever. I have a lot of activity going on, but I'm not accomplishing the best things for me. I might be accomplishing, I'm obviously putting up my clothes, but I'm not accomplishing the things that gives me the best return, or best bang for my buck. And then what's the most rewarding? So find something you like to do so much that you would gladly do it for nothing, and then learn to do that exceptionally well. And I think I'm going to use Jerry Ann as an example. I don't know how, because we never talked about how she became one of the Facebook gurus, but she found something that she liked to do, and she got extremely good at it, so much so that Facebook themselves acknowledged her, saw it and acknowledged her. And I'm sure that gives you a sense of pride and reward.
Are you waiting for me to answer that?
I am
No,
waiting
it
for you
mostly
to react.
baffles me.
It what?
It mostly just baffles me.
But you know what? That's actually one thing that that we take for granted, the things that we just know how to do, and it seems so simple and so easy. People compliment you on it. People say you're really good at it. Those are the things that you need to focus in on and do things
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
Right? It's not an effort for you. When Jerry Ann and I were in Florida, I kept asking her questions, and for me, it wasn't a big deal. And she kept telling me, your questions are so good. They're making me think differently. They're so good. But for me, I was just asking questions. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
And I find that people say that to me when I'm talking to them about what's going on in their business, what's going on, whether they're entrepreneurs or whether they work in corporate. I have an uncanny knack of asking questions. I think it's because my mom asked me 15,000 questions when I was younger.
So I have Diane, who's on our box team. She says
She's on our what team?
Our box team. So getting boxes out to our troops and assigning
Sure.
recipients and that. She says you can get a lot done if you're a multitasker. What's your take on multitasking?
Well, so depends on what you're multitasking with. So while I did say that I'm going to wash on Thursday, it doesn't mean, on Tuesdays, it doesn't mean that I'm going to put a load of clothes in the washing machine and just sit there and do nothing, because obviously I can do something while the clothes are washing.
But you're not actually doing anything at that point. You've delegated it to the washing machine.
I had to put it in. But so my point was, though, that I'm not just going to sit there and wait for the clothes to wash, right? There's
Right.
other things that I can do in between the laundry. So if you mean multitask like that, then that's good.
Yeah.
You're trying to, so going back to my class, if I'm actually trying to write this class, put together the PowerPoint or put together the workbook for your leaders, I can't barbecue at the same time because something's not going to get done. Either I'm going to burn my food or I'm not going to pay attention to this. So multitasking, it really depends on what the tasks are. Actually, research has shown that we are not able to multitask like we think we are.
Yeah.
Even when we're like driving a car and talking on the phone, it's been shown that we're not really focusing. Even when we're hands-free, we're not focusing on the road 100%. So our brains can't really multitask in the way that people think.
We call it multitasking, but what it's really doing is just shifting gears or shifting focuses very
Yeah.
quickly.
You're splitting your time.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes you longer to do something.
Yep.
Or you're, in the case of driving, unfortunately, if we're not focused, we could, thank God we don't, but we could get into an accident because we're not really 100% paying attention.
And even I've noticed for me, like I can be mentally, I can be doing nothing else but driving and I'm still not totally focused on driving.
Correct. Yeah. Because you're thinking about other things, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, research has shown that we can't really multitask. I know for me personally, when I am focused on this one thing, not only am I able to get it done, it seems like I'm able to get it done quicker and faster because I'm solely focused on that. Period.
I agree. And I've learned to flip my phone over.
Yep.
And
Yes.
oh my gosh, because I can't get anything done. And it's made a big difference. And my new computer has a thing where I can turn off all notifications for a period of time. I'm like, oh, Lord, thank you for that. Here's a question from Janelle, who is our admin,
Sure.
moderator, and she does our morning mail. I don't know if you've seen those every morning. We have like these inspirational posts that are amazing. She and Ashley put those together. She says, how do you prioritize work duties and home life duties? Say someone's working 60 hours a week, balancing home life and volunteer life.
Woo. So
She might be speaking about herself.
So for me, when I do my prioritizing for the day, it includes both. It's not, for me, it's not just work, it's home as well, because I didn't do that. And this week I didn't go grocery shopping like I was supposed to. And so I'm in my cupboard scraping things together because I didn't make grocery shopping a priority. Honestly, I'm eating soup, because I didn't make it a priority. So you can't, you're not one dimensional. You are, an entire whole person. So your priorities have to include home life as well. Remember, I used the example that if you may have delegated someone to pick up your child from school, but let's say that you don't have anybody pick up your child from school. That has to be a priority whenever they get out of school. You need to be there, right? You can't say, oh, well, I got to do work. I can't say I have to do this class. I have to write this class. No, I got to pick up my kid. So when you're thinking about your priorities, they do have to include the whole person. Any others before I go to my third one?
No, just sharing strategies about how they do things. So,
okay, you want to share a couple things so everybody?
We've covered it. It's like I make a list and days off and stuff like that. No, it's good sharing, but I don't think we need to because it's 10 to 9, so I don't want to run over for.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Talk about later.
So proactive priority solution number 3 is make room for the margin. So margin is the amount of time, is the amount of time allowed between what is needed, beyond what is needed. Sorry, let me restate that. Margin is the amount allowed beyond that which is needed. So it's the amount of time beyond that which is needed. It is held in reserve for contingencies and unanticipated situations, what it is. So, so how can you, or why should you have margins? Because if you have margins, you improve your self-awareness, you manage your behavior and your relationships with others. You can give your needed time, it gives you needed time to think. This is really important. I want to take a minute to talk about time to think.
Mm-hmm.
You need to create what we call white space in your calendar that you just sit and think. Don't settle for a few minutes here and there. You need to create and schedule in a block of time for you to just think. We are creative individuals. Human beings are one of the only species that can create. We can use our imagination, and from our imagination, we can create things. But we can only do that when we take time, when we make the time to think about what we need to do, to think about what our priorities are, to think about what our vision for ourselves, whether it's for military mama or whether it's for, what's your vision for your children? What's your vision for your marriage? What's your vision for yourself? You need to think about that, because when you think about it, things that may seem to be a problem in the moment, when you step back and you give yourself time to think, you also come up with really great solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And then another reason to make room for the margin is it provides you with energy and renewal. You need, again, in this whole, when you take time to think, you also need to take time to not do any of this stuff. You need to take time to go on vacation, go on a walk, just, clear your mind. The best way to get more stuff done is to spend more time doing less. And I know that sounds really crazy, but especially if you're having a problem, if you're looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, if you take a step back, go away from it, leave the house, get some fresh air, and you come back, you can look at it with fresh eyes, and you may find the solution very easily. And you can create margin by creating space with your relationships, exercise. I know for me, exercise first thing in the morning is really good to get my energy going, but it's also really good to clear my mind. Travel, music is huge for me. So things like that. So you can create margin.
I love cleaning. I think I do think a lot when I'm cleaning.
I do too.
Things just bubble up.
Yeah.
But it can't be organizing. It's got to be cleaning, washing counters, washing walls, like stuff where it's just completely mindless.
Yep.
But also, I really am a big fan of take one day off a month. And it sounds impossible, but since I started doing it, I can't even tell you, mental clarity. And my new thing is I'm going to take a long weekend every quarter to just
really
ponder, dream, and think, because all the stuff that happened when we were in Florida.
Yeah.
Was so life-changing. So Tammy says, is it normal for it to take a few days to figure out how to handle and balance priorities when an outside or unexpected priority comes up? I'll give an example later for a response. I think for me it is. I clean horse stalls. You go, Heather.
So say that again. Is it?
Right. So is it normal to take a couple extra days to figure out how to handle new priorities when something unexpected comes up? So you've got your plan in your priority list, and then something throws you.
I mean, it can, if you want to shorten that time, though, you could talk it over with someone else. Say, hey, these are my priorities. This came up. What do you think how should I integrate this new thing into my my whole list of priorities. That may help, because someone who has fresh eyes and someone who's not attached to it may be able to give you a better understanding, or at least help you to think through it, you know?
Or as questions that help you realize what the
Right.
priorities are.
Where to put it in the, if it really is, if it should supersede your priorities or not. Yeah. So that's what I would do. How to create margins: evaluate and eliminate continually. Evaluate and eliminate continually. So I'll give you an example. What are 20% of your possessions that you get the most value of? Everything else kind of get rid of. I know that's really hard. It sounds harsh. It sounds like a minimalist. I haven't accomplished this at all. I'm just gonna let you know, being totally transparent. But I endeavor to do it. I've been doing a lot of cleaning. I've been doing a lot of purging, and my house feels lighter. I know that sounds weird, but it feels a lot lighter. Been giving away a lot. I gave away a lot of clothes in 2018, a lot of clothes. And I still have 2 closets full of clothes. It's ridiculous. But anyway,
Don't talk to Sue about black pants.
think about, as I speak about clothes, typically we wear 20% of our clothes gets 80% of the wear.
That's a 2080 thing.
That's a 2080. Yep. Think about what you spend 20% of your leisure time doing that gives you 80% of your happiness. I love to walk. I love to walk and I love to read. Those are my 2 top things that make me extremely happy. And I can walk by myself, and I can obviously read by myself. So people think I'm an extrovert, but I'm really an introvert. I'm an introverted extrovert.
They call those ambiverts now.
I think so.
And here's my thing about this margin. If you have something on your list and you have not done it, and it's supposedly really urgent and it keeps getting pushed down to the list, it probably can be that white space. It's probably not as urgent as you're telling yourself it is, or it would be getting done. So just consider that, those priorities that you're like, oh, I got to get to that someday.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't.
Maybe not. Or maybe someday is you literally schedule it in February 15th at 3:00, and from 3 to 5, that's when you do it, period. Yeah. You block it in. But also, I want you all to fight to keep 20% of your calendar free, because that will help when you need to shift or when something comes up. You're not so scheduled, especially those that work in corporate. I know when I worked in corporate, there were days where I would have a meeting at 9 o'clock, and my meetings were hour long, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. I never had a break. I hated those days, but it was when I took control of my own calendar and I gave myself time to think. And if you're going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, it's hard. It's really hard.
And it's hard on your brain, you guys. Don't underestimate what you're wearing your brain down doing at the top, at the speed of light. And people ask me this all the time, like, how do you get so much done? I'm like, I take a nap. I take a nap every Thursday without fail, and most Tuesdays. And I don't care. I just completely unplug. And on Sundays, I'm very scarce because it's my time with my family and I'm not going to give it up.
Yeah.
So just consider that. Where are you feeling squeezed, and really evaluate what priority it really is.
I was listening to, she's a TV pastor, Joyce Myers. I was listening to her, and she made this statement that if your calendar is so full and you feel so overwhelmed, well, you have the power to change it. You created it, so you can take stuff off.
Yep.
Have that right. So, think about that. Embrace the priority principles. It's all about choice, and what, you need to begin by determining the areas where you have not lived according to good priorities and make a decision to do something different. So think about this. Think about how you can change your everyday work habits. So think about, where do I need to work smarter instead of harder? What must I change to stop trying to have it all? That's probably, I've found, probably one of the hardest things for women to do.
Yeah.
we want to do it all. We want to do it at an excellent level. And sometimes I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I have to learn that sometimes good really is good. It doesn't have to be best. Some things, sometimes it's just good to put my sheets in the linen closet, and they don't have to be folded perfectly, because I have a system of how I fold my sheets, and I like them to be perfectly folded. But sometimes it's not that. It's okay.
I have a friend who never folds her laundry at all, Marissa.
Oh, I love it. I don't know if I can do that, but because they may think it's a waste of time, or that's not what they want to spend. I don't want to say a waste of time, but that's not what they want to spend their time doing. So think about, what good things can I stop doing in order to do the best? What must I do to become more proactive instead of reactive? What can I do to stop doing urgent but unimportant things? So who can I delegate things to? And if you can't delegate it, as I said before, when can I set a block of time, what day and a block of time that I can just do it and get it done, so I can stop looking at it? So before I go to the homework.
Got some comments here.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really interesting strategy, and I might consider it. My sister said, today I did a lot of low priority stuff and feel successful. I don't have to look at it or wonder when I'll get it done. So I wonder, for those of us that can't carve out, or think we can't carve out, an hour, if you literally just said, on the first Friday of every month, all I'm going to do is low priority stuff.
Yeah.
And then just do it, and just plan it that way, Monday laundry and stuff. So I don't know. I might try that, because I got a lot of low priority stuff. Another one is, how do you not feel guilty about not doing what you think needs to be done?
What do you mean?
That's the question. How do you not feel guilty for not doing what you think needs to be done?
If it truly isn't something that is going to give you a return, if it's truly something that absolutely doesn't have to be done, do it. But remember when I said we have to be gentle with ourselves, and women have really hard time trying to do it all? We have to we have to just say, you know what? I'm only one person.
Yep.
This is all I can get done. And that which I did do, I did in excellence.
Yep.
And let it go. You have to. Is it frozen? I don't have kids. Is it frozen, or is let it go? Let it go. Okay, I shouldn't try to
Yes, that.
Right? You just got to let it go. And I know it's hard. That's a mindset shift that we have to make. It really is. We have to make the shift to say that it's okay if I just do this. It's okay if I have 10 things on my to-do list and I only get 3 done. It's okay. Because if you stress yourself out, if you're constantly striving and you're constantly like going crazy, you will make yourself physically ill.
Yep.
And if you make yourself physically ill, then you're going to be down, and that's going to slow you down from doing all the things that you need to do, or you're going to get so sick that you can't do anything.
Yep. Been there, done that. And I think that for me, the challenge for this is that when other people are on the other side of that equation, where I'm like, your request doesn't make the cut for me, I don't feel guilty, but I hate disappointing people. And I think that that's when I start to gerbil wheel it, or I've just got to get this all done. I don't want to disappoint people. But I think, again, that's on me, if I could delegate it, or just, delegated is the answer for a lot of this stuff. I think for us, not just me, that, delegated, because by us, keeping hold of all of it and doing it all ourselves, we're not doing it as well, as you said, but we're also depriving other people of what I think is stepping into their natural gifts and what they're really good at.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to the Instagram person. If you have someone that finds phenomenal pictures, let them.
Yep.
Give that to them. earn it over, because that's one less thing that you have to do. That person loves doing it.
Yep.
Just give it to them.
Yep.
So I do think it's a mindset though. We have to shift our mind into not trying to do it all and be Wonder
Yes.
Woman. You know, we that's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And we don't need to be Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's hit the homework. This
So
was
homework.
fantastic, by the way.
So,
Fantastic. Thank you.
okay. So homework. At the back of your workbook, you should have something that says the 3 R's to set your priorities. So using that worksheet, I want you to list your military mama network responsibilities that only you can do. Just those responsibilities that you can do. And if you can't think of only things that you can do, then list all of your responsibilities and we'll work through it. So after you list your responsibilities, I want you to apply the Pareto principle, so that 80-20 rule, and I want you to review your list and identify the top 20%. I wrote 2 responsibilities, but I meant 20% that need or deserve most of your time. So what's the top 20% that need to deserve most of your time? Then I want you, once you figure out, let's assume that there were 10 things, so the top 20 would be 2. Of those 2 things, I want you to assess whether your daily activities for military mama are aligned based on those 2 listed responsibilities. And if they're not, then I want you to develop efficient practices that will help you get back into alignment. So creating margins, doing your priorities, what's urgent and important, what's urgent and not less important. Use that to figure out what your responsibilities are and how you are going to implement priorities. Does that make sense?
It does. Sounds challenging to moi.
And then Monday, which is, hold on, let me look at my calendar because I don't know the exact date of Monday. Give me a second. My calendar is not coming up. Monday is the 28th. So on Monday the 28th, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, Jerry Ann and I will be back in this room talking to you to go over your homework. We apologize for Tuesday. We were having technical difficulties, but hopefully we've worked all of that out. So we can go over your homework for Monday or from last week, as well as your homework for this week. This time is all about you. It is whatever you want to talk about, whatever your questions are. We can go into that discussion. It's all about discussion at that point.
I'll create a post too for those of you that won't be able to be here at 8 o'clock. The thing that I'm really interested in hearing from you guys about is like, what new awarenesses do you have? Or like, I'm not kidding you. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is life-changing. And I knew it, like I knew the 80-20 thing, but to apply it to us was an extraordinarily freeing moment. Many here don't have positions yet. Can they use life? Yeah, but actually, Sue, most of them have areas of responsibility. So I think for now, their responsibilities would be like their homework, making sure they're in their groups, getting ready to do some training, and also kind of stepping into, in the regular group, what their roles will be.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
Yeah.
But definitely like the homework, the lunch and learns, what other questions do you have? Have you introduced yourself? All that kind of stuff. So that, because at the end of this, we've got 100 people that I want to be really, really connected, where we can go back and do what I've been doing as I've been telling people and like kind of introducing you to who they are and what they're saying. I want everyone to kind of have that level of connection with each other, especially their smaller teams. So yeah, they can use life.
Yes.
Where is the worksheet found? Terry, it's in the file section of the training room.
It was connected to the workbook. So if you downloaded the workbook, it's the last 2 pages of the workbook. You'll see it there.
Okay.
All right. So any other questions, comments?
No questions, no comments.
All right. Well, then
Fabulous. So then I'll see you on Monday, huh?
Monday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yay. Yeah, Central Standard. There's some weird thing going on with the time zones because somebody else said that it switched to Eastern. I'm like, I know I specifically set them all to be 8 o'clock Central Time. So whatever. We'll figure that. Wait, there's one more thing. Let's see what
Okay.
the comment is. Assuming that my stupid mouse, I'm telling you, for loving Facebook, do they still do homework on the training?
Hmm?
So they'll do the homework on the training. Yeah, I think so. I mean, they can do it on the training, but like you said, they can do it on life if they're stuck
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And this is something that you can revisit, which I think would be really, really helpful to everybody as we're moving more into the action of leading instead of the learning of leading. Okay,
If
more.
you-
Oh, just thank you. Okay, so we're going to end. Thank you guys for your patience. Hopefully next week we will have it without flaw. But this was me. I did it this earlier. That was all on me. So bye, you guys.
Bye. See you next week.
All right, we are done. Let me get back in here with you. Oh my gosh, that went so well. I love that. Let me turn it off.